So, and we'll give out the host. So Evert can be the fully in charge of everything.
All right, and it's glad to see so many videos as well. So, all right, so just I made a short introduction, but just a brief information about what I do and what my company does is that our company name is IdeaTest, and me and my co-founder Jose, we've been running it for a few years now, and we have a background from business, from educational, entrepreneurial, and the materials that you're seeing here as well are actually all available in different sources, and we have pulled them together to use it in a most convenient way. And we also have our puppy Lola, who is our Chief of Happiness Officer. So all the main guys are here. And of course, we have different partners to do different things for us. I just added some startups from last year as well from Prototon that we helped to validate their ideas. So some of them are dead already. Some of them are already in a phase of becoming a big company. We have worked with different universities here in Estonia and also in other countries, for example, in Portugal. And also, of course, some different enterprises. So as you can see, like all those different groups of companies actually need validation. And why we are here, the number one reason why I always love to point out is that 80% of new products will fail on the market. This is per statistics, it's a fact. So now the question is how you can beat the failure and how you can really increase the probability of being successful. Roman is waiting in a waiting room. Let's get him in. So, I mean, even if you Google Microsoft or Google products, there are a list of graveyard products that they have produced. So can you imagine Google has a lot of good engineers and people on board, but still they are producing products that people are not buying, they're not using. So there's tons of different products that they have built. And also some background slides. I mean, innovation is disruptive. So if you look at the yellow cab from US, so it took 2 years for them to fail the bankruptcy, and like no industry is safe in that sense. So you're in a really good position as building your startup. And it's same, you know, with different other companies like Kodak. It's a good example. Nowadays, people are taking more and more pictures every day, but actually Kodak wasn't able to make a new like really take the next step. So yeah, innovation is not like a buzzword. It's happening all around us, and you're in that sense in a really good position. And it's also increasing. The speed of innovation is increasing. And now the question is how you can really be fast and what you really need to do to be in the right spot. So one of the things how I'm also always looking is that you can have like a wrong it and you can have a right it. So the wrong it means that if you're building the wrong product or the wrong service, even if you have a superb team, really good execution, you're still going to fail. Or if you have the right it, if you're going to execute it well, then the likelihood of being successful is really good. So it's that simple. So there's different failures examples as well from the market. You know, if you look, for example, the Coke or the Amazon smartphone or McDonald's or Deluxe Burger. So different examples. Like there was the team, they had the resources and everything, but still they couldn't innovate and they couldn't put the new product to the market. But at the same time, there are some success cases as well. So now the question is, you know, how to really find it out? Where is how you can be successful? So one thing sometimes companies tell us, some friends do that they hate, go and talk with your customers. Of course, you need to talk with your customers, especially if you're in this ideation phase, trying to understand that if there is a real problem that you're solving. But you cannot ask from the customers that, you know, will you buy my product? Would you like to have it? Or ask your mom, like, hey, I have this new product idea. I will quit my job and I'll pursue my dreams. But what you should ask, actually, you should ask about their problems. Probably a lot of you know as well. There's a good book called The Mom's Test. If you haven't read it yet, definitely do it. And it really narrows it down what you ask, what you should ask, and how you can really build the product out of that. So, you know, if you take opinions, if you take ideas, I say it's like a thought land. It's like a beautiful land with the fairy tales, but it's not really real close to the business. And also there was a saying called false negatives and false positives, what you have to be aware of. So probably you all know the Segway, that everybody was talking about Segway. It was a big thing. Big investors invested to that product a lot of money, but eventually customers didn't want to buy it. It was too expensive, it was too clumsy, and it just didn't get through. And there are a lot of different products in history that has had similar path in that sense. You can take a phone, or you can take the first iPhone. When Steve Ballmer said that no one is going to buy iPhone, it's going to not going to take a significant market share. So if you really do the Googling, you find out that there are different there have been different products on the market that people didn't really believe in that. But what those products actually showed us was that there was a market traction, and customers actually did want to buy those products. So if you can really in early phase figure out how to get the relevant data, then you can increase the probability of being successful as well, even though investors are telling you that you're never going to succeed. But if you have the data from the market, then you can say that they're wrong. So what you can really do to beat the failure, and there's a word called prototyping, and you can Google and look it up as well. So I've been using the prototyping approximately 4 years now, or 5 years. And there's a guy called Alberto Savoia. He was a Google innovator. So he built different startups himself. He was an early engineer in Google, and then he went away, and then he came back in 2010, I guess, or 11. And his #1 goal was to help Google to grow. And he was one of those guys who was also running in a team of Google AdWords, as we know today is one of the biggest money machines. And his principles that I'm showing you here today as well are really down to math and numbers that you can use in your product validation. And they really work, because these are numbers. If you put numbers together, you get the result. There's nothing related with opinions. And obviously the different companies using it already today, and I'll show you those methods as well. So the difference between prototyping and prototyping, we can say it like that. Prototyping is to understand, like, should you build it, and prototype it. Prototyping is more like, can we build it? So how people will use it, will they use it, and for what they will use it. So it's really fastest way to understand if people really want to buy your product. So if you think about the product development process, then you have idea, you validate, you build it, you execute it. If you're successful, then you can scale it up. And the things that I'm going to talk about mostly is the validation phase over here. So all of you already have your idea, probably have some traction as well. So how you can really validate to get the data from the market. And what data we are measuring? Sometimes companies and startups, they really want to do questionnaires. They want to do some soft, surveys from their groups. But what I'm usually measuring myself is the skin in the game data. So by that I mean it's money, some sort of a commitment that customers are doing, their real contact information or email address. There's some sort of attention or time that they're giving for them. Or if you're a B2B startup, then you can even sign like the letter of intent or some sort of a pre-agreement with the company, like from their side, saying that, yes, if your product is ready, we will buy from you with this amount of money. And opinion-based are also investors' opinions. Of course, if they're from your field, this is really valuable, but make sure that you also have your own skin in the game data. So I call it like a Yoda. So it's like other people's data versus your own data. So make sure you collect your own Yoda. That is your data that you have collected from the market that you have. And the whole idea, of course, is to test as much as possible. I show different methods how you can do it. So if you're not testing your value proposition or your idea or some sort of a functionality in this product, then if you do less tests, then you're not so successful in finding the perfect fit as well. Let's frame it that way. So the whole idea about innovation, in my mind at least, is about discovery and testing. It's not only building the product, what is a really critical part, but it is about discovery and testing the right thing. So, and if you look at the data from the other big players in the market, then they are doing a huge amount of tests. Of course, some of those companies' revenues right now are decreasing with the global economy as we see it right now, but they are testing a lot of products and a lot of them at the same time. So now the question is how you can get to the phase of testing those products all the time and different functionalities all the time. So why to use prototyping? It just helps you to be faster, let's say 10x faster. And with nowadays, you have actually so many different tools that you can use that helps you to develop a product to some phase without any coding at all. So that you can do different mobile apps, web apps, CRM systems. There's so many different solutions what you can use already today to build a product. For example, I was recently testing, I was using a spreadsheets to build a mobile application. So it's really easy to actually how we can pull together without any engineering effort done. And of course, what's really important is that you can access random customers in minutes. So nowadays you have so many different sources that have already done the job for you to collect all the customer base. So you can get the initial level of feedback from their customers. Of course, it's more in ideation phase, just to understand what they do with the product and how they use it. But it's really easy actually to reach out of them. And it also brings a lot of valuable information for the teams as well. So yeah, just to sum it up, the whole thing here is that, faster you get to the data to understand where is the fit, the less disappointing and less money you were going to spend to validate it as well. So now I would like to briefly run you over some prototyping methods that you can really use for your products. And those methods have been put together by Alberto Savoia and Stanford University. And of course, there are combinations of different methods that you can come up with by yourself as well. But these are some of the methods that you can use today. Now let's put it like that.
Evert, there is
Yes.
still some people waiting to be admitted.
Let's see.
Because I cannot see them anymore.
All has joined. Meanwhile, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Is there any website for prototyping? Like, is it like one a corporation or brand that called?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So basically, if you Google a guy called Alberto Savoia, you can find it out who this guy is, and from his site you can really see. So there is no company called prototyping, but it's more like a word that he came up with.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about the other slide that was just before. Could you please put it on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, one more back even. And one more here. No. Mm-hmm. Yes. There is like I can understand the no code, like how to build this prototype or stuff on your like web page, but on the right side there is the industry box or like headline. So what is this about?
So it's also about different software you could use also in industry without any coding. So there are some software that have already built for specific industries, and it's like white label solutions that you can put your brand on, and they could satisfy some of your needs. So now it depends what industry you are in. You have to check it out if they can already do the solution for you that is needed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so some of the examples from prototyping as well is I'll run them through. So for example, the first one is called Vector method. And someone asked, I also recommend this book. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the Vector method, what it does, it's basically like a dummy website. So let's imagine you're a big fan of Freddie Mercury. So one of the ways how you could produce his dolls is to go to find a factory for example, in China, put together the whole package, go to the company, start producing those dolls, and then store them in your warehouse, and then create some sort of a web page and start selling your products. You could do like this, but what's the downside is that if customers are not willing to buy your product, then you have just a garage full of Freddie Mercury dolls, and no one will buy those products. Now, the other way how you could do it is just simply create a landing page with the full value proposition that you have, put the price tag to the site, and see if customers are really willing to commit to your product. So in that sense, you can, let's say, if you want to sell them in social media, you create different social media campaigns or Google ads, drive traffic to your website, and measure conversion. And of course, with such products, sometimes I get feedback from the marketing team that you cannot pull or bully the customers. But here are different methods how you can do it. For example, you can say that we are out of stock. Could be one option. Second option could be that thank you really much for purchasing the product. Right now, we're just validating if it's a great idea, and you will get a 20% discount or something like that. So different ways how you can still give a cookie out for the customer for participating for your website. But doing like that actually gives you a lot of valuable information already to understand if customers are willing to commit to your product in a way as you're planning to sell it. Then, yeah, some samples as well from here. And some of the examples as well could be, for example, I was working with one company called Match My Sound, and they wanted to build a mobile application that could really help them to train their ears. So I mean, if you're learning guitar, you can learn how to listen properly and how to play different chords and understand what is the is it like A chord or a C chord or a different chord. And I helped them to validate it in US market, and we did different tests with different validations. We got a lot of insight what keywords customers are using, if they sign up or if they don't sign up, and it was really successful case as well. Then some other methods, for example, could be that you drive traffic there from different channels or LinkedIn channel or do some cold calling. So it's different ways how you can really drive traffic to your website. Then we have a facade method. One of the examples from facade here is that you can use basically you can have you don't need to have any products in your stock, but you will going to test your product anyway. So for example, what Zappos did was that they created the website to sell shoes online. It was year, I guess, 97 or something. And no customers were buying shoes online by that time. So what they did was that customers went to their website. They had a 1-year return policy. And whenever customers purchased the product, and the owner of the Zappos went to the other shop, purchased the shoes, put the Zappos label on, and they ship the products to the customers. So it was a really easy way to validate their ideas with some other products. With some other products, yeah. And probably, I think it was a few years ago when Amazon purchased Zappos with a few $1 million. I don't even know what was the end number, but it was a huge amount. Then great example as well is Elon Musk, who came to the stage telling to the customers that, you know, you can't really touch the car, you can't drive it, we might even not produce it, but will you buy it today? And people made $1,000 pre-purchase, and it gave a huge skin in the game data to Tesla, understanding that people will buy the product and the car, and the rest is history. Then we have a method called mechanical Turk method. In that sense, you can use human to simulate behind the screen or behind some sort of a door or some product, the product that what it should do. Like here is example of a vending machine that can be used, or you can do animated, video to text or chatbots. So there's different ways how you can really use humans to simulate it. So for a customer, it seems like he's interacting with a computer, but on the back of the screen, there's actually someone doing the job for you. So whenever you have some sort of a SaaS solution or different software that's really hard or complicated to build, and you can simulate some of the parts, then you can use humans behind it. Here's a good example as well. One guy just doing the engine work. And the chatbot example. Then we have a Pinocchio method. Here's a good example. Maybe some of you have seen the movie called General Magic, or remember there was I would say before iPhone, there was a Palm Pilot called Newton. So they built it took a lot of years, I guess 3 or 4 years to build the product, but no one was actually buying it at the end. But at the same time, there was a guy from Palm Pilot. So what he did was he had like a piece of wood in his pocket. So he was running around in Silicon Valley, and whenever someone wanted to book a meeting with him, he just took out his palm that was wooden and scheduled a meeting time for him. So he really gathered the valuable information from the customers and pre-orders, just to understand if customers would really buy his product and how they would buy it as well. Then we have an infiltrator method. This is a method where you can test how customers will use it. So basically, if you have a product but you don't have the customer base, but some of your competitors or some partners, for future partners, might have the customer base, then you could use their customer base for your product. So for example, there was one guy who wanted to produce this key holder, plastic key holder, and he first contacted IKEA to sell his product, but IKEA told him that no one will buy this product. So what this guy did actually was that he went to eBay. He purchased a fake IKEA t-shirt. So he sneaked into the shop, put the products to the wall, and started filming if customers would really put this product to the basket. Of course, they had some problems in the cashier, but he had really valuable insights from the field that he sent later on to the IKEA, showing that customers really want to buy this product. And it was like a skin in the game product in that sense. They really wanted to buy it. So sometimes if you have some product that you could test with some existing customers in some, shopping malls or some big construction shops, you can do it in a way that partnering up with this company, or if you can't partner up, then you have to be clever how to get to those customers as quickly as possible. Yes, it's perfect if you have partnerships. Then we have a one-night stand method. What it does here is, for example, Airbnb, when they first pitched their idea and the investors, no one purchased their idea because no one will let some stranger to your room. So what they did was that they uploaded their proposal to the Craigslist. It was only $80 a night, and they got a lot of valuable insights and people really wanted to sign up. So they started from there. It was really skin in the game metrics that people want to stay at other people's homes. Or the same with the Uber cabs, also similar model. So basically it's good to prove whenever people will take action despite what's commonly known. And then we have a YouTube method. This method has been usually used when your solution is so difficult to prototype or to build it up. In that sense, you could use some video to explain what it is. For example, if you know the story how Dropbox started, then people were not syncing their files with some cloud. So what they did was that they literally printed out some papers, and on those papers they were showing that, hey, you have those files here, and you can sync your files between 3 different devices whenever you are or whenever you do. And in that sense, I've been using it with different solutions or energy solutions as well to really explain customers what it is. And nowadays, it's really easy to set up this video with your phone, or you can use some no-code tools as well from online to put together some graphics or something like that. And Google Glass was also the same thing. It was a prototype. It was really hard to get those products. A lot of people still signed up. Unfortunately, this product didn't fly, But nowadays, as we're seeing, more and more products come to the market again to offer similar solutions. And then we have imposter methods. In that sense, it's similar to facade method, but here, for example, you can take some other people product and really put just a label on, and that's it, do nothing else. So for example, if you want to sell a second day sushi or some other solution, you can really see if customers would commit to buy it. And then the last one I have over here is called provincial method. And in that sense, you can test your product in different regions. So example from Tesla over here is that you can set up some tents or some meeting points with some of your customers and see how different cultures will buy your product and will they commit to your product as well before making significant investments or renting some places or really selling them with a big stock units. So to recap, these are all those different methods. Of course, you can combine them as well. The most used are usually faked or combined with YouTube method. So you have a landing page that states what it is, and you can describe solution with a YouTube. But there's different ways. It totally depends what product you have. And for those of you who have set up the validation meeting or this meeting as well with me, we can run you through as well, like what type of solution could we use for your startup. And what's the simplest way to start? Usually I think about it like that what's the hours to data, cost to data, and distance to data. So the whole goal of prototyping is not like a huge work you need to do. It's rather how to get to the data as quickly as possible. And if you have this mindset, then you can get to the data as quickly as possible as well. And of course, there are different channels where you can test your business ideas. With B2B, with B2C, of course, so it's different. But LinkedIn nowadays, it's a really good tool where you can connect with different entrepreneurs. With B2C, there's different channels, different groups. So of course, you need to understand where customers are, how they talk, and then do they really have this problem, what you're trying to solve. Yes, some example as well from Slack here, just for B2B products. How Slack started was that they started with their friends and with their network just to reach out and to get first insights from them, and then this scaled from there. So there's different ways. And I mean, if you Google how to validate your B2B product or get your first customers, you can get tons of different examples as well. And yeah, obviously in LinkedIn, definitely also use video. If you're talking with some company, it could really get a better conversion for you as well. All right, now let's quickly talk about the XYZ hypothesis. So before setting them up, so I showed you different examples, but what you should actually measure and what data should you collect. So with XYZ hypothesis, there's a Google saying that, data beats opinions, and say it with numbers. So if you put together some numbers, a formula, and simple math, then the probability of being successful is quite high. So how you can define the success? Well, successful is your product when your predicted result is worse than actual result. So your actual result needs to be better than the predicted result. That's really obvious. And how you can do it is one way how it can be done is with the XYZ hypothesis. So Alberto described it really well. You can say, for example, that at least X% of Y customers will do some sort of a Z action. So X% is the minimum target market that you need. Obviously, you need to understand how big is your market, who are your customers, and this is the percentage you are going to set. Y is the target customer, and Z is the action that those guys need to take. So simple example from Tesla Model 3 is that at least 5% of small, medium-sized sedan buyers in US will buy Tesla Model 3 for $40,000. It's like really straightforward. And if you get over this threshold, then you're on a safe side in that sense. Or if you take Spotify, you can say as well that at least 30% of current iTunes users will switch with Spotify subscription. And if you reach this threshold, then you're on the safe side. And it's same with Amazon products. So you can do, definitely it can be done as well for your product if you have some threshold that you're trying to aim. And how to choose this percentage? You need to understand how big is your market. Definitely, you need to do some financial calculations for yourself as well to understand how many number of products you need to sell or how many services customers need to subscribe. It depends what your model is. But if you have this number, then you can start aiming for the number as well. So, and if you have expected result of X% of Y will do Z, then the actual result will get that, X% of customers will need some Z action. And successful case is that if you predict lower and you get higher result, but at the same time you might fail as well if this predicted result is better than the actual result. So there was a cool car, Pontiac Aztek, that looks like a really cool car. You can drive it everywhere. You can, have a tent inside of it, but it didn't turn out to be a successful case because people didn't want to really buy it. So it was a failure case. And now the question is that how you can really predict it. So if you have defined success, how we can really predict it? Well, the answer is that you cannot really predict your success. But what you can do is you can really measure if there is significant market interest from the market. Of course, assigned if it's designed and built and marketed competently. So I have this saying that, if there's a market, there is a way, but if there is no market, there is no way. So you need to figure out if there is a market overall. So if someone is asking you that will their product fail on the market, and then you cannot say, I don't know if this product will fail. You can't say maybe, I don't know, it's me. It needs to be some sort of a number. You can say to the investor that, yeah, we have this probability that our product will be 50% is the chance of being successful, or 70% of being successful. So it needs to be some sort of a number. And I'll show you as well, like how to get this number. Meanwhile, do you have any questions? Good. All right.
I actually wanted to ask about this, also this previous slide a long time ago, that with the no code, you mentioned some application that you used, as I understood. Maybe you can recommend, or you will point it out later, what no code like apps you can easy to use, like Pop or some other things to maybe draw some applications or user interfaces.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you could write me directly as well, maybe LinkedIn, I can share based on your specific business needs. But I mean, if you want to create like a simple landing page, there's like solutions called like Dingy, for example, or Squarespace, probably you have all heard, or Bubble, or there's like so many different solutions based on your needs as well. And definitely spreadsheet. With spreadsheet, you can also do a lot of stuff with just Google products.
We'll learn about the slide later. Yeah, thank you.
And I deeply encourage you to use those no-code tools, because I have seen so many different developments, and there is this urge to build it, to use some engineering power. But if you're in a really early phase, you can really build it, but then you need to rebuild it again anyway. There's all the time, there's first phase and second phase, there's different phases. But if you can use as less engineering power, and then you can save a lot of money and a lot of time and nerves as well, and you can learn still the same mistakes with no code tools even. So definitely, if possible, use them. Okay.
There's again people waiting.
I
really want to hear you.
Let's see. Yeah, you can jump. Let me know right away if they're waiting. They missed already half of the part, but welcome everyone who joined. Glad to have you here. Okay, and now let's talk about a little bit the math as well, and some numbers that you can use. So there's different ways for those of you who have learned math, how to show the probability of some math equation. So probability can be, it can be 100%, it can be 0%, it can be, 73.29%. But I mean, if you're dealing with people and persons, there's actually no point to have like really specific number in that sense. Because if you're boiling water, it's 100 Celsius, then it will start boiling. But if you deal with customers or with people, then there might be some, variation, and it might change based on what you showed them. And based on this information, one way how you can simplify it is to have like a point system that was also produced together with innovation and math teams, is that you can have like a 5-point scale. And you always start with unlikely probability of being successful. You start from 0, and then you start scaling from there, getting all the way up. So I'll show you right away what I mean by that. So let's say that you want to have 50% of chance of being successful. Now the question is, how to define it. So here what we can use is that we can use a guy called Bayes' theorem, and it's been widely used in mathematics, definitely. And how you can, I'll show maybe example, it's easier. One more here is this equation. It looks really difficult, but actually it's really easy. So what I mean by using here is that you basically feed in the information before the tests, and then you feed in the information after the tests. And then if you do all the calculation, then you can get the end result of being successful or not being successful. So and where it all comes from, actually, it comes from also from gambling and poker, if we have any players here as well. So there was this guy called Eder at Torp, and he used those different combinations and probabilities. So if you're being dealt with some cards, then the probability of being successful or winning the game increases as well. Let's let in Paula. So, and those similar methods can be used in innovation. And so how it works is that, you start a deck with 0 points, and then they're going to deal you with different cards. If you get the good card that really helps you to play more, then you get +1 point. And if you get the card that's not really good, you get -1. It's same with doing later on market tests for a product. If you reached over the threshold that you set to yourself, for example, if you have hypothesis that I want to get better than 5% of the market, then you get +1. If you're less than 5%, then you're getting -1. I can also share this Excel that you can use, and will you start putting your numbers in. But maybe I'll show an example, then it gets easier as well. So first of all, you need to define to yourself, where is this go or no go line for your business? Is it over 50% or is it less than 50%? If it's a low cost idea, low risk idea, you don't need to do so many tests. Maybe you're already lucky if this probability of being successful is over 30%. But if you have a high cost idea, you need to build it. You need to invest in engineers' time. You might want to have a bigger or higher level of being successful rate as well. So you might have, for example, 200,000 IT development cost to build the product. So it's already quite a high number. So I assume that you would love to have more success rate as well than would be for a lower product. And how you can really score the points. So you start from the 0. You have 0 points. Then you design and execute the market experiments, and then you update your points. So it's really easy. So if your actual result is higher than the expected, then you get +1. If your results are lower than unexpected, that you get -1. Sometimes you don't get enough market data. You didn't get enough customers, for example, to reach your site or your product. Then you have 0 points here as well. So one simple example from here is that I tested the solution for a heat pumps as a service model. So one way is that customers can purchase this heat pump right away with $990, approximately $1,000, and other way is to rent the same service. So what we did, we a market test as well. So we set the limit of 5%. Customers who are already purchasing heat pumps will switch to subscription model. And then we tested if customers are willing to sign up for the product. Before having anything ready on the process side or legal side, nothing was ready, just to validate if customers would really sign up for that. And then was the question, how much risk are we willing to take? By that point, we calculated that our cost would be approximately 400,000 euros. So it was quite high risk for us. So we wanted to get at least over 50% success rate. And then we did different tests. So for example, we were lucky in that sense that we had a customer base. So we sent out email to 100 men and 100 women. We did Google ads, we did social ads, we did direct offers. Where it went now? We did direct offers to the customers, and we were really measuring from different channels what customers did really sign up, and if they signed up, I called them as well, asking or saying that, hey, by the way, this was a test, and give some good information and insights, and we went from there. Then now the question is that what is a good number? How many customers come to your site? How many should sign up? What's the conversion? I mean, if you're selling, Ferrari, if you're selling 15,000 cars, it's really good. If you're selling Ford, it's really bad. So it totally depends on your business. It needs to be, you need to really understand those numbers, like what are you aiming? If you're selling a big product, service or product, or if you're selling some sort of a similar subscription with, $4.99. And then we wrote down different hypotheses as well as I described before. At least 5% of customers will open your form. People will come to your site, and based on that, we did different tests. And we had this no-go line. So more tests we did, the better result we were hoping to get. But at the same time, if customers are not really signing up, then we might get, minus 1%. And based on that, we did different tests, and we got 3 points in total. And for us, it was good enough to launch the product to the market. So these were the great examples from here. Any questions before I continue? I don't have too many more slides, so I probably was confusing, but practice makes it perfect. So if you start practicing, probably it gets easier as well.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Selina.
Elina?
Hello.
Aliva, I mean.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to ask to show the formulas again of counting the probability.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There were a couple of different formulas.
Mm-hmm. So the number one formula is actually this one over here. That's the number one. So in this formula, what you're doing is that you're using the test the hypothesis that you have before the test, the numbers that you're expecting to get, and then the results that you got out after the test. So what's the probability or the hypothesis that you're aiming before the test? Is it 100 customers or 1 customer, and what result you got actually after the test? So I can send you later on as well the Excel that does all the calculation for you. So it's really easy to use it. All right.
Thank you.
And then some examples here as well. I already showed you. So just to sum it up, like the whole thing over here. So if you really think about the process in a nutshell, initially you have an idea. Then with this idea, you need to build this business model canvas with the financial planning and really model what you're selling. Then you create like simple financial model, try to understand what are those numbers. And then you're going to write down this hypothesis and prototype and test it. And usually doing like 5 to 8 different experiments is already good enough to get enough market data. I know it might feel a little bit painful or extra work to do it, but it's so much, it saves you so much time down the road if you're doing those tests and experiments, because there's always this urge to start building some product or service. But if you're doing this validation first, it gives you really big confidence down the road and understanding that you're building the right thing. And always after those tests, you can come back to the drawing board or think through, do you have the right idea or no? If you have it really good, then you can scale it up from there. And if you don't have it, then you need to really think through, talk to your customers again, and try and understand if it really, if the product that you really have is valuable for the customers enough or not. And yes, just to sum it up, the steps as well, just put some information here as well. Like as a step 1, I would really narrow down who is your target customer, and not only the market or the segment, for example, food industry or the supermarket chain, but really who is the customer in this house, who is responsible for that. Is it like CEO? Is it the head of marketing? Is it the head of engineering? Who is the main guy you should target? And what are their needs that you're really solving for them? And based on that, you have product market fit. And then after that, you should take your time and put together the best user experience, the value proposition, and the feature set. But if you don't have these unreserved needs, then it's really hard to build the product out from that as well. What amount of customers are enough in order for the formula is valid to work? So it totally depends what's your aim of being successful. But usually I've been doing like for a B2C products, like 100 customer tests at least. Like 100 customers should see your website or should get your offer. If you have B2B product, you can usually get like 20 or 30 same sector B2B customer input already to prove that if there is a need or not. And Quintus, I can also send you specific information if you want to understand how many people you should talk through. Just write me to LinkedIn. Yes, so step 1, to map down the target customer and undeserved needs. That's step 2, I would create a simple business model canvas, just understand what's the problem, what are the customer segments, what are the revenues and the costs. Step 3, I would write down a simple calculation. Is there any business at all or no? And how many products you need to sell? What are your costs, fixed costs and variable costs? And then step 4, write down the hypothesis that you have. Step 5, pick a prototyping solution where you're going to test your product. And then step 6, analyze your data and make basically decisions based on your data. And if you have some relevant information from similar market or some, if you're selling some product on the market, and if you know what numbers competitors have, then you can compare with the competitors as well to understand if you're on a good side or no. Yes, so thank you so much. I have some other slides as well, how you can come up with more ideas, but this was not really about today's topic. But if you want, I can share those things as well. But do you have any questions so far?
Hi, Evert. I've actually got like 3 questions, but
okay,
one by one. First of all, yesterday we were speaking about a discussion, the surveys and interviews. So yesterday I was thinking, okay, I will do, surveys and interviews ASAP. And now I'm thinking actually to have a simple website, it will be a much more valuable data from there. So, and I don't also want to bombard my customers with several places to fill forms or go to websites. So what would you do? Like, how would you, I don't know, connect an interview, a survey, plus then this, for example, the fake door method?
It depends what phase are you at. If you're at ideation phase, then you need to try to understand, like, is there a problem on the customer side that they're trying to solve? If you're on this validation phase already, then one way how I did it, for example, with a smart home business. So we were trying to sell some smart home gadgets. It looks like a really cool idea. So what I did, I sat down with those customers. We had face-to-face interviews, and I showed them the products so they could really put those products to the basket. And at the end of the survey, what I did was I gave them like a piece of paper. I showed them the cost of all the products. And I told them that, hey, this is the total cost. I will deliver those products to you in 3 months, and please sign the paper today to make sure that you're going to have it. It was like a commitment sort of thing for the customers. And if those customers really signed up, then there was a commitment. But a lot of those customers actually told me that, no, I still need to think about it. No, I think my friends need to buy this product or something like that. So you can combine those things. If you're in the ideation phase, I would try to answer questions about how they're solving this problem today, or what is their interest or using your product. But if you want to really validate, then I would pick those end goals that you're trying to achieve. Would they like to give you some sort of money? Would they need to buy your product? Should they meet with you? Should they sign some letter of intent? Should they give their simple email address? So different things that you can measure. Did this answer your question?
Yes, and I guess we'll get into details during the session as well. I guess, yeah, it depends on where you're at and what's really the business. For me, it's B2B, so it might be actually rather focusing on interviews. But still, about the fake door methods, like what kind of metrics other than clicking the buy button would there be to measure?
Yeah, it's a great question. So one good example could be is that you have a sign-up form with their email address. This is it doesn't give like so much, like it's not so big commitment, but it's still commitment to give you a real email address, or you give you their real ID code or their phone number. This is like the simplest things as well that you can collect. Sometimes it can be that you have some sort of a Calendly link that they will sign up a call with you. So if it's a B2B customer, if they're interested in buying your product, they might really want to sign up the call with you. What else I've used? Usually, yeah, time, money, and like simplest contact forms are the 3 main things I've been using.
Or have you seen such a thing as well, that, for example, a lot of people end up in the landing page, but don't really want to buy this? So maybe it shows that a lot of people are interested, but they don't really see the point to pay money for it.
Yeah, I see it all the time. Right now I'm working with some big e-commerce companies, for example, and they had the similar question, like, we have so big traffic on our site, but people are not really buying our product. So what I did was that I narrowed down those customers who purchased the product and asked from them, like, hey, why are you buying product from this site? And then you understand why actually those guys who converted, why they're buying your product. And then you might get some interesting information. For example, they buy your product because you're the cheapest, or you have the best customer support, or something else. So it's really hard to get information from those guys who just came to your site and left. But usually you can get the information from those guys who committed or made some commitment over there. And of course, like I showed you as well, those no-code tools like Sharewell and those user testing. If you use those platforms as well, you can do, for example, like a 30-second test or 1-minute test, and you pay per test, and then you can get feedback if customers are really willing to buy your product. I'll quickly show you from here. Just a moment. For example, if you use too many slides here. So for example, user feel and usability hub is the one with the 1-minute tests. You just pay per test, and you just send, like, I don't know, 10 or 20 customers to your site, and they will just let you know what to see, what they like or what they don't like. Of course, some other tests like Sharewell or user testing These are really big companies where customers come to your site, they do different actions, and you can ask them questions as well. But you have to be cautious because those customers are usually a little bit of more biased because they're getting paid for that to give you some answers. But these are some solutions that you could use.
Okay, thank you. I've got last question. You had a video there somewhere, like for the approach. I was just wondering, like, how did you do that? Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Exactly. What did you say and how did it go?
So you cannot send the video before the connection has accepted your friend request, but after it's done, you can just send them that, hey, thank you for accepting my friend request. My name is this and that, and I do this and that. You don't even have to sell it. And how some companies have been doing is that first you just get to the funnel and then you start selling like 2 or 3 months later, because then they're already in your funnel. They see already the content that you're posting. And then they know what you do. So, but in this video, just show you that you're human. You're not selling anything, Simplest answer. And nowadays in Estonia, especially, this LinkedIn is getting more and more traction, and there's different algorithms definitely that you can learn how this LinkedIn works, and it's a huge word. So you can improve your visibility in LinkedIn just by increasing your social selling index. But probably in Prototon there's a mentor as well who's describing how LinkedIn works.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's see. Anyone else? I would love to have some sort of a scale over here just to understand how difficult this math part is. Probably it might be hard to understand at first, but usually it gets easier.
Yes, Evert, this is the most silent batch I ever had. They don't talk at all.
Oh, really? All right.
Especially the previous one was so chit chat. And now, like, Destiny decided me to give the guys who were super introvert. No any word.
So a lot of data guys over here, probably.
I don't know.
It's
Thank you. Thank you for presentation. I learned a lot of new information. So yeah, it was very useful for me.
All right. Thank you for letting me know.
And also, guys, if you have seen there's ever time slots in your mentoring matrix, and I see that it's Evert, you are fully booked, like even overbooked. Be careful.
Yeah, and I mean, if you feel that you're completely trapped, just let me know. I can maybe just have a quick call while I'm walking my puppy outside. So it's definitely just, I've been in this pain myself, building products and failing on the market. So that's why I'm doing it, and just don't want other people to just spend extra money or spend people nerves building something that no one wants. And it's hardest usually for startups as well to maybe let go some ideas that you have because you've been thinking about building it. And now if customers don't want to buy it, they don't commit, it feels bad, but just in the long run, actually, it feels good for you. So
there is a question.
I'm sorry, about the IdeaTest. I mean, this is, you do exactly the same thing then as a service, or what's? Yeah, exactly. So usually companies they don't have resources or they don't have time, and I just help them to run through and keep them accountable for measuring the right things. And also the whole goal is to do it as quickly as possible, not like extra work, but rather like within few weeks and you have the data already. Of course, with B2Bs, it takes a little bit more time because they don't answer right away, but it needs to be super fast. Otherwise, it's just you're building MVP already.
If I understood correctly, there is one question from Jürgen. I don't know, Evert, maybe you can check the chat and you will understand it better.
Okay, is the math thing similar to educated guess? You have certainty, and when tested, you update. Yeah, basically, yeah, the whole idea of this math is that more tests you do, more data you get from the market, the higher the probability is as well, or lower. So, for example, you can do 1 or 2 tests. You already think it's a perfect product. You should start building it. But more tests you do, then you actually evens out those not so proper tests as well that you might do in the beginning. I hope it answered your question. Usually, like in math and probability, more tests you do, the higher the probability as well. This is yeah, regular math. All right, let me see. Usually in this workshops like that, I learned that it takes 10 seconds just to be quiet. And then first 3 seconds, people think about the question. Then 3 seconds, then they formulate the question. And then after 3 seconds, they can ask it. So it's been. Feeling that this method is better version of survey quality problems. Solution. All right.
But it also, I suppose, first of all, it's rather good combo that yesterday we were talking about this general idea about product market fit, and today you're coming and shooting all kind of possibilities how to measure this product market fit, what Westers was talking about. But I would say that your way of making the workshop is very tough and very time effective. So maybe it's necessary for people to digest.
Yeah.
And but okay, I have seen, because we don't need to, you know, just to sit and squeeze the questions, but as soon as Ernest has something, then okay.
I would also add, yeah, that yesterday I was feeling rather happy, you know, yes, let's interview the clients and so, and today, I mean, this is really like, how to say, dramatic. So I have mixed feelings, like to do this, especially the fake door methods, and I'm just afraid that nobody will want to buy, and what will happen then? So this is really, but I mean, this is a good thing, then you will actually see results. But as a founder, I guess it will be tough to take if the probability is low.
I just want to say that it's quite critical in my case, because I have done the prototype, I have done a lot of programming, and the product is about ready, and I have invested a lot, and now either it works or not. If not, I have lost everything. So I know what Evert was talking about, and actually I have done some questionnaires, and I have talked to potential clients, and I have done many things that Evert was talking about, but not in that scientific or the right way. But still, I have got a lot of feedback about what I was doing from potential users. I hope they will be real sometime. And I even, well, my product is about walking around supermarket and checking for food, for right food with a mobile application. So I have went with some people that have allergy and just stood by them, making notes in my notebook, not interfering in any way. And afterwards asking what were they doing, why were they choosing this or that product. Or in some cases, I was like standing by like a best friend and chatting all the time, like asking in real time what are they doing and what are they searching for, and so on. So I have done a lot of like future client communication, but not in the structured way that Evert has told.
So now you can do it.
I don't think so. It's already too late. Well, I will do some things that you have told are still usable, but in many cases, it's a little bit too late.
Usually it's never too late because you're probably going to develop anyway some extra stuff. You just get more information from the market, but this is how it goes. Next time you know it faster, you know.
Yeah, surely. If this idea fails, I'll have to start all over again with all the suggestions that Evert has told us.
Yeah. All right.
I was also wondering if you will have another some other workshop about like what happens if the probability is lower, like support group or something like that, or how to pivot, you know.
Yeah, then you go basically back to the drawing board and you start again from this talking with customers, understanding if they have this problem that they're solving. It's like, yes, ideation, validation. In that sense, it's like a process still.
I have also a question. Can I have? First, thank you. It was one of the best presentations because it filled my gap from every angle. But what is your recommendation if your startup is operating in highly regulated industry, for example, as fintech? For example, you cannot collect loan applications before you have special license from FSA or government authorities. And even you cannot collect, for example, loan applications through the prototype. What is your recommendations here?
There are different ways how you can do it. Today, I was just looking at the Bolt's new financing solution they're doing with Esto. So Bolt doesn't have this financing themselves, but they're using a partner to fill some of the gaps. And right now they're doing just using €0 commission on top of that. So this could be one way how you can do it. Other way could be done is that you're offering your solution, but customers cannot really end the purchase in that sense. So they will do the right steps that you're aiming for them to do, but at the very end there's something happens, and then you can measure if they really take commitment to use your product. And of course, there's a pirate method as well. You just do it, and you might have some consequences. I'm not saying it, but this is if you have for example, if you need to invest a lot of money, maybe it's worth taking the risk just to see if customers commit. So probably there's different ways how you can do it. Safest way is to partner up with someone who has all those licenses, but at the same time, you can simulate the whole thing. Because imagine if you have done everything, you have all the licenses, you have everything is done properly, and now you launch and now no one is buying it. So the time and cost that you need to do it, it's much bigger.
All right. Same question, maybe few comments about the platform model when you have different kind of customer segments. Yeah. For example, the Bolt is a good example that you have drivers and also you have users.
Yeah. It's in the summer, I was helping to build one application that is a platform from cleaners. So someone needs to find a cleaner, and the other side is someone who can offer cleaning. And then
they're part of this batch.
I'm sorry?
I think they're part of this batch. Wise Clean?
I know it wasn't Wise Clean, it was Cleanify.
Okay.
Maybe they're here. Okay. I haven't heard of Wise Clean yet, but basically, in that sense, you have always two sides on the platform, right? The hard side and the easy side. So you need to understand which one is easy and which one is hard. A lot of information about this online as well. But in that sense, you still need to get the first customers on board. So what Bolt did, what I did as well, was I just contacted directly those cleaners, for example, in those groups who are offering cleaning. Bolt also, they were walking on the street talking with taxi drivers to start installing their app. And then on the other side, they got the customers. So the first phases usually are quite rough and time intensive to get those people on board. but then you already get a lot of good insight as well, why they would like to join your platform and why they would start using it. For example, what was the product? Canva. I just recently read Canva, how they started. So their first product was also really niche down solution to help to create some sort of a design for a specific market niche. So it's a platform as well that they need to have designers and people using it. So really to narrow it down, what is your solution, what problem you're solving, and then manually get some people on board to start using it. So this is the one way I've seen it. If you can of course spend a lot of money with ads as well, but then you don't know why they're not signing up still.
Thanks.
Evert, one question. I was, unfortunately, I was a bit late to the meeting. Is it maybe possible to share some after the meeting, like some key slides from the presentation?
Yeah, I guess Jana was recording it, so you can look through the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
And the Excel. Okay. Maybe just to end it up, how you can just have few slides here if you want to come up with new ideas, if everything failed, just to end with a positive note. So there are some ways as well how you can come up with new ideas. So I'll show you some examples over here. There's a thing called combinatory innovation. So in that sense, what you can do is that you can even practice daily. So if you're going to the gym, you're training your muscles, but at the same time you can also train your innovation brain. So for example, simplest example is that there was tires or something that was rolling around. Then we had a combustion engine. Then we got a car out of it. Then we had satellites, we got a smartphone, and then you have Google Maps. And if you combine those guys together, you might have a bolt or lift. So, and if you start thinking about it, all those innovations that you see today around us, then all those things are actually combinations of something that happened before. Or if you take the self-driving car, you take a pizza, you might have like, Starship robot. Or if you think about different ways how to do it. So nowadays, all those innovations that you're seeing around us are actually, combinations of something. Of course, you might come up with some Nobel Prize idea that's completely new or create like a new electricity or something, but usually all those startups are some combinations of some things. Same with a smart home, with a watch, you can have like a smartwatch, or you had like a tire, you have a suitcase, and you can even combine it with some Bluetooth solutions, and now you have something running with you. So in that sense, if you think about it, it's actually really easy to come up with some new ideas and solutions. And I have this habit as well that sometimes I just write down some random combinations that come to my mind, and based on that, you can come up with some new solutions and ideas to just come up, just to end up with a good note. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. And so guys, tomorrow there will be Indrek Kelder. He has sent already a letter for you with some questions, so please answer to him. And thank you very much, Evert. It was really, really very intensive and very useful. And I like this kind of trainings where you can a little bit shift your mindset. Thank you. And you were one of those ones.
Good,
so
good
I
to hear.
suppose it was a rather good change from me to Evert. And you agree? Okay.
So stay safe, get healthy, Jana. I don't know, eat garlic, or what are your routines?
I just, try to sleep.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so I will stop the records. Evert, give me hosting back.
Okay.